We're two sisters who believe that the purpose of life is to enjoy, create, and have fun. We believe that as humans, we can have anything we want, and things are always working out for us. Experience has taught us that the path to getting everything we want begins with ease. If you believe in miracles and happily ever after, or even if you just want to, then this is the podcast for you. Hi, I'm your host, Kayla Rain.
Hi, I'm your co-host, Adria Shea.
And welcome back to Attract It with Ease. Adria, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. So happy to be back and nice to see you. Let's start with our gratitude. Tell me 3 things that you're grateful for and why.
I realized after I put this list together that 2 of my 3 things are food related. So I don't know what that says, but didn't realize that till right this second. The first thing I am grateful for, and maybe I've said this already, restaurants that make good, healthy food and deliver it so that if I'm in a time crunch, I don't starve.
You did not say it quite like that. In fact, I think every time we've talked about food, it has been unhealthy until you covered fruits and vegetables.
I do eat healthy food sometimes too. I'm trying to eat primarily healthy food actually in 2021.
Awesome. What else are you grateful for?
Grateful for modern medicine, especially with anytime, but with COVID and everything that's going on. I have a couple friends that are in the ICU, and I work occasionally in the newborn ICU, and it's just amazing to me. I see so many miracles, and I haven't traveled to other countries, but I know some of our practitioners, they go to other countries and they come back with stories of, limited equipment and people having to make choices about who can utilize that equipment. So I'm grateful it exists, and I'm grateful to live in a place where it's available to so many people.
I completely agree with that. And I think those are some of those sort of things that you don't really realize is a benefit until you're faced with that.
Yes.
So I think that's awesome that you bring awareness to that. Well, it's funny that you picked a couple of food items for your gratitude.
I have number 3.
Okay.
Dark chocolate. And the reason should be self-evident, so I don't even need to. So many benefits.
Not everybody loves dark chocolate, but there are some good healthy benefits for it, and it tastes amazing.
Yes, more for the rest of us that appreciate it.
Exactly. Okay, what I was going to say is 2 of my 3 things are drink related.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the first one I have is wine, specifically red wine. So I realize there's probably a lot of listeners out there that don't drink, but I prefer red wine almost over any other drink except maybe water. And the reason that I'm grateful for red wine is not only does it taste good, but it is so relaxing. It's not like other alcoholic beverages. It's one where you sip it and it kind of calms you down and it slows your day. And so I just really love coming home after a long day of work and relaxing with a glass of red wine. So I'm grateful for that. Number 2 is coffee. And it's kind of for the same reason. Yes, it's got caffeine. Yes, it is actually the only caffeine I really drink. I don't drink soda or anything, but I do not start my day off very well if I don't start with a cup of coffee. But it is that same slow relaxation pace to start my day off with as ending my day. And so I feel like it's a way of just kind of easing in and out of the day. And so I'm grateful for both of those things. And then my third item is actually kind of 2 things together, and that's a washer and dryer.
Yeah.
We don't own a washer and dryer because we live in a tiny house. And so typically we have to go to the laundromat to do laundry, and we're still house sitting. This is the last week. But they have a washer and dryer, and their dryer has some issues. Sometimes it turns off in the middle of the load, so you have to kind of keep track of it. But I'll tell you what, I am so grateful to be able to just go in the next room and run a load of laundry and not have to go to the laundromat and not have to keep quarters on me. And it's pretty wonderful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. So before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to mention a couple of things because this is our second episode of the year, which means, Adria, that we have our first winner for one of our custom bracelets. We've had a few reviews left that have been left, and so we have drawn a name, and we do have a winner.
Yay! I'm so
Yay!
excited.
So the winner of our first custom bracelet is Tab Marsh. Tab Marsh. Tab left us a review on Apple Podcasts, a 5-star review. Thank you, Tab.
Thank you.
And so, Tab, if you're listening, send us an email at hello@attractit.ease.com.
Attractitwithies.com.
I said that wrong last episode. Why do I want to say all these dots? Don't add that dot. hello@attractitwithies.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us what your word is for the year and give us your address, and we will make you a custom bracelet and we will mail it to you. And Adria, I've been thinking we should take pictures of each of these bracelets and add them to the website so that people can see what they look like and also have ideas for their word for the year. So,
yes,
Tab, you're our first winner. Thank you for the review. And with that, Adria, I wanted to mention to our listeners that not all podcast platforms give you the ability to review your podcast. So I realize that people are listening to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Stitcher, Libsyn, all kinds of different places. There's only a few platforms that actually let you leave a review. 2 that I know of are Apple Podcast and Audible. On those, you can give a star rating and you can also write a review. And we've had quite a few people leave us star ratings. Everyone has rated us 5 stars so far. Thank you. Thank you. We realize maybe we will get other star ratings. We're open to any ratings. We do want the feedback. But if you don't write a review, we can't see your name and we don't know who left the review. So when you just give us a star rating, we can't include you in our giveaway because we don't know your name. We don't know who it was that rated us. So if you really want to win one of these bracelets, write us a review, write in your name so that we can mention you on the podcast. So that being said, Adria, let's jump into this week's episode. And this is kind of jumping off from the conversation that we had a few episodes back where we talked about expect versus plead. The difference between expectation and desperation. So we're going to take that conversation to the next level and we're going to talk about intention. So Adria, when you hear the word intention, what comes to mind?
The first thing that comes to mind is the context of my intentions were good. I may have done this thing, but my intentions were good. So almost in a negative context. Kind of meaning the opposite of what actually came. Like I intended one thing, but something else happened. That's what comes to mind first of all. But I will tell you that the first time you recommended that I set an intention for something, I don't think I told you this, but I went and Googled what in the heck were you talking about? Because I actually had no idea what that meant and didn't want to admit it.
Well, I love that you didn't want to admit it at the time, and now you're admitting it publicly to everybody.
True. I've already said a few things on this podcast that I maybe should have not take back, but maybe should have held my tongue about.
Well, that's what I love is that we're both just genuine and none of this is scripted. But it's funny that you say that because when Dwayne Dyer's book, The Power of Intention, was real popular, I have no idea when it came out, but when I first heard about it, I was a huge Dwayne Dyer fan and I heard about this book and I didn't know what that meant just from the title, The Power of Intention. And by the way, if you haven't read that book, you should look it up. You should read it. You will love it. You will likely love Dwayne Dyer. I love Dwayne Dyer. Anyway, I didn't know what it meant when you said intention. So actually, for our listeners, I Googled tonight the word intention, and here's what came up. It says, intention is an anticipated outcome that is intended or that guides your planned actions. So when you hear that definition, now tell me what you think about the word intention.
It almost seems to me like something that lights your way or a map.
Okay.
Um, I like what you said about the guide your outcome. Is that how you said it?
Yes. Yeah, I'll
So
say it
kind of,
one more time.
yes, please.
An anticipated outcome that is intended or that guides your planned actions.
Okay. I love it. Yeah, kind of almost, a compass you, that, well, I'm not very articulate tonight. If I know what the planned outcome or the desired outcome is, to me, setting the intention is pointing me in the right direction so that I'm headed toward that desired outcome.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, when we've talked about trying to achieve various things that we want in life, whether it's goals or we're talking about manifesting, I think, and we've said this a few times already, but I think that we often think about just bigger things that take time to come about. So, whether it's tangible things or something like a new job or a relationship or traveling or whatever, we don't necessarily expect that to be something that happens overnight. And so we feel like we've got to spend time visualizing or meditating or building our vision board and whatever. But as we talked about just recently, there's a lot of things that happen from our day-to-day life that we want to go a certain way, and that doesn't mean we have to put it on our vision board or we have to sit and visualize it or meditate or something in order for those things to work out for us in life. So just to give you an example, it could be a phone call that you need to make and you're a little bit nervous about. It could be that you have a job interview that you're going to and you're preparing for. It could be that you are about to give a sales pitch and want to close a client. I can't really think of many others just off the top of my head, but there's things all day, every day in our life where we want a certain outcome. And so it's kind of like, well, how do I achieve that short of just all the things we've talked about up to this point?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where intention comes into place. So, just as a quick, brief, short example, an intention could be saying, today is a great day. And I want you to notice that I said that in the present. Today is a great day. Because a lot of us use the power of positive thinking and we say things like, it's going to be a great day.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole difference between it's going to be a great day versus it is a great day, because one is it's going to happen versus the other one, it already is happening. And it's stating something as if it already is. That's your intention. What is the result you want? And if you say it's going to be a great day, then it's going to be. But if you say
Mm-hmm.
that it is, you already have that outcome. And so that's one example of setting an intention. Let's use the example of going into an awkward phone conversation. Tell me, and again, I know I'm putting you under pressure, but give me an idea or an example of what you think could be an intention you could set for yourself before you make that phone call.
I'm going to be assertive and state my needs. I'm using going to. So I think this is the wrong answer.
No, there's no wrong answers.
Okay. On this phone call, I'll say exactly what I need, and the other party will be receptive. I'll get what I need.
Okay. I like that.
Maybe I'm negotiating a bill or something.
Okay. I like that. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball because,
Dang it.
I like to put you on the spot here. So that's a good start, especially without a lot of experience. But if you remember the rules of the law of attraction, one of the rules is if it involves another person, you can't control their end of it. So
Okay.
remember how you just kind of said, and then I'll get what I want from them or something along that line.
Yeah.
We can ask for that, but we can't expect that because that's up to them, right?
Okay.
We can deliver whatever, and then it's up to them to respond how they're going to respond. So let's try again. How could you set an intention going into the phone call that does not involve what the other party has to do?
Here are the points that I want to make. I'll remember them and be calm and assertive.
Love it. Love it. Yes. Um, I think our listeners probably know by now. Maybe they don't. I think I've mentioned her a few times, but I am a huge fan of Esther Hicks, Abraham and Esther Hicks. And Esther Hicks and Abraham have several meditations, which I love, absolutely love, one in particular. And as I was thinking about what we were going to discuss with intention tonight, I was thinking about a piece from one of those meditations where she talks about being aligned with your inner being. She talks about how when you're aligned with your inner being, when you're hooked up, I think is the word she uses. When you're hooked up with your inner being, the words that come out of you are always the perfect words in the perfect time in the perfect place with the perfect person. I don't know if
Wow.
that was verbatim, but essentially when you are completely like aligned with who you really are at your core, that you're in that flow, that the words are just perfect, that you don't even have to think about what you have to say. They just come out of you. And to me, that's the intention that I would want to set going into that call, because it's like, if I can find the perfect words that will resonate with this person, then I don't have to ask for the outcome I want. I'm going to get it because I'm saying exactly what they want to hear. And the timing is perfect. It's effortless. It's stressless. So for me, if I were setting an intention going into a phone call and wanting a specific result, or if I was just nervous and wanted to be calm, and, it doesn't have to be that you're expecting a result. Maybe you're talking to a long lost loved one. I haven't talked about this on the podcast yet, but I'm estranged from my son. And I can tell you that if I were talking to my son on the phone, which I hope one day I will, I would be really nervous going into that conversation. And so, what I would want to do as far as setting an intention is knowing from this meditation that when you're aligned with your inner being, when you're hooked up with your inner being, the words that come out of you are always the perfect words in the perfect time, in the perfect place, with the perfect person. That would be what I would be looking for. So, my intention would just be, I intend to be hooked up with my inner being. And to me, I know what that means. In my soul, I know what that means because I know this meditation. Now, I'm not saying that that's the right answer, because your answer might be different. And if you don't listen to that meditation, that might not mean anything to you. But if you set the intention of kind of exactly what you said, that you're going to be calm, you're going to know what to say, you're going to be prepared, that's essentially the same end result that you're looking for. And so that's an example of setting an intention. So the way that you set an intention is before the thing even occurs, you make a decision in your mind and you ask for it. And you don't ask for it in the way that you're pleading, like, please, please, please let this go well. Please bless me, please. It's that whole expect, don't plead that we talked about. It's setting that intention and just making the decision, saying, this is what it's going to be. This is what I'm going to be. This is how I'm going to behave. This is going to be the outcome. So now let's use kind of the same example with, let's say you're going on a job interview. What could be an intention?
I'm remembering.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. As you were talking, I was remembering the last time I interviewed for a job, we had a conversation. I think you did tell me to set an intention.
Okay.
Because I was focused on, how can I show them I'm the best candidate? How can I persuade them to choose me for the job? And you said something like, if it were me, I would just set an intention to go in there and show them who you are. And if you're right for each other, you'll both know it. And if you're not, then you don't want the job anyway. And I loved it. That was so freeing for me to shift my focus from controlling their behavior and getting the outcome that I thought I desired, and turning it more internal and just thinking, let me be my best self and show that to them so that we can both evaluate if this is the right fit.
I love that advice. I gave good advice.
You do. You give really good advice.
I said I gave. I don't know if I always do.
You did, and you do.
Well, I think that's great. And what I love about what you just said is that oftentimes we go into a job interview wanting the job, and maybe we really don't want the job. How do you know you want the job until you've interviewed and you find out more about the job or see what the people are like?
Mhm.
And if they don't want you, why do you want them? So we should be interviewing them as much as they're interviewing us. And so I love what you just said. And it kind of ties back to what we were just talking about with the phone call when you're hooked up with your inner being. Meaning, if you are exactly true to yourself and who you are,
Mhm.
and they don't like that, it's not the right fit, period. And something else and something better will come along. It always does. And if you are completely yourself and you're hooked up with your inner being and they love you, then it's all going to mesh, it's going to align, and you'll get that job and that outcome. And so I think that's a perfect way to look at it. And I love that we had that that experience to reflect back on, because I had forgotten that.
Yes.
So that's amazing. So I'll give you an example that happened yesterday at work for me. Actually, it happened for my boss, but kind of included me. So I have a post-it note that is on the cup holder that has my pens at work, and it just says, "I am a money magnet." It's an affirmation that just is on a post-it note that faces me constantly, because I've mentioned before I work in sales. And so I'm constantly focused on attracting sales. So I have this post-it note that's sitting there. Well, it's been there for a while. And yesterday, at the end of the day, my boss sent me a WhatsApp message and said something along the lines of, "This morning, I set the intention that I was going to be a money magnet." So she was using my words. She was
Mhm.
using that reference because she's seen that in my office. She said, "I set the intention that I was going to be a money magnet." She said, "I picked up a new client and a new sponsor today." Both of those are huge because we only pick up sponsors a few times a year. So that was a big deal. And
Mhm.
I'm the person that handles sales. So typically, she's not the one selling. She'll pass them to me to close them or whatever if she has someone interested. But I thought that was really awesome and powerful because she saw that note and she used that for herself. And the way that I have it written, it's an affirmation. I am a money magnet. The way that
Mhm.
she used that as an intention and said, "Today, I am a money magnet." And she attracted new business. And I thought that was so exciting and a great example to share because, number one, you don't know the kind of influence that you're having on other people. But number two, there really is power with setting intention. So you've probably heard the quote, "The attitude you take on a task determines the outcome." Have you heard that?
No, I never have.
Oh, I should have looked up who said it. It's someone famous. It's someone in the business world. But I learned that years ago, probably because I've been in sales so many years. But so it's the attitude you take on a task determines the outcome. And I've had that memorized for, I don't know, probably 20 plus years. I think about that all the time. But tonight I was thinking about it and I thought, you know what? It's not really the attitude, it's the mindset, which could be one and the same. But it's not just your attitude, it's what you decide is going to be the end result, is what you get as an outcome.
Mhm.
And I used to be big into UFC. I used to watch all of the fights. I haven't been into it the last little while so much. But it's funny because I used to bet, not officially, non-officially, just with friends, on who the winner was going to be on the match, just by watching them come out and the crowd's hyped up and you see the fighters come out prior to the fight and get in the ring and they, play their song, their intro song, and they're jumping around and they're in their silk robes and they're getting hyped up for the fight. And you can almost always determine before the fight even starts who is going to win just by watching them. Why do you think that's the
Wow.
case?
Wow. I think that's incredible. Um, Self-fulfilling prophecy. Maybe if one's more hyped up, they're confident they'll win, and maybe the other guy's second guessing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's about hype. I think a lot of times hype helps, but I've seen people that come out like super calm and focused and they end up winning. But you can almost see it in their eyes that they come out determined to win or they come out wanting to win, but a little bit scared. And
Mhm.
the way that boxing works and the way UFC works and all of those types of events, they intentionally to get people to to bet on the fights, put money on them, pay for tickets and so forth. It's a whole business. So they do all of this hype beforehand, which tries to psych both fighters out. And so it is, each fighter has a certain record. They've got, their, I was going to say a bad word. I'm trying to think of a replacement word. They're bad mouthing each other. And sometimes it gets into their head. Now, occasionally both fighters come out 100% determined they're going to win. And those are the best fights because neither of them are giving up. They do not falter. But more often than not, the way that works is one fighter has the intention of winning and the other fighter hopes to win. So you've got one person expecting and one person pleading. And how do you think that works out? The person that's expecting and is confident is the person that wins that fight. And so it's really interesting because you usually can't tell until right as the fight is about to begin. But as you watch those fighters walk out, you can almost always see it in their demeanor and determine who's going to win that fight. So I think that totally plays into what we're talking about today. Can you think of any other kind of intention or places or times that we would use intention that would be beneficial to our listeners?
I like the idea of just checking in with yourself in the morning. And so I've said that I work in the hospital, and some time ago, I set the goal for myself that my focus at work would be, let me think how to say it. This was a time when I worked in patient services. So I was on the phone making phone calls, and this is a little bit of a long answer.
That's okay.
But I didn't like that. I didn't love that aspect of my job and was struggling because I wanted the job, but I was sort of dreading some parts of it. And I had the idea to shift the focus of my phone calls to just connecting with the person over the course of that phone call. So doing my job, but connecting. And that really was a turning point for me because it changed the way I viewed my job. And ever since then, it's changed and influenced the way that I interact with people frequently. So I love the idea of checking in with myself in the mornings and this isn't something I do. It's just coming to me that this is something that would benefit me. Setting the intention with myself that, I just want to be loved today. I want to exude love to anyone that I interact with.
I love that intention. That is amazing. I'm going to steal that from you and use that. I feel like I need more of that. But I do like what you said because that's something we haven't really talked about yet. And that's that truly when you use the power of intention, the best way you can use it is to set an intention every morning, set an intention every day. And that doesn't mean that you can't set additional intentions throughout the day. Let's say that you have multiple meetings aligned for the day. You could set an intention going into every single one of those meetings. And they may be about different things and they may be different intentions, or they may be the same intention, but with a new group. But it's just starting your day off knowing to a certain degree what your day looks like and predetermining what do I want the outcome to be? What do I want the end result to be like? And it could be as simple as today is a great day. It could be I'm going to feel completely stress-free today. Maybe you have a lot on your plate and there's a lot going on, but setting that intention in the morning, then when things start to feel stressful, it will remind you, oh, you know what? It's fine. I'm having a stress-free day. It just helps keep you in that mindset. But I love the idea of, thinking above and beyond just having a good day or a great day and really thinking about the impact that you're going to have on other people. And I also love how you took something that you didn't like about your job and figured out a way that you could turn it around into something that you actually enjoyed. Because I'll tell you, I actually don't like sales. I've said that my whole life, and I work in sales, and I have almost always worked in sales. But what I do love is people, and I love talking to people. And so one of the things that I do in sales is I try and I shouldn't say try, but I do try. I try and have the intention of just talking to them like they're my best friend. In other words, cut through the awkwardness. Don't worry about being super professional. Just get down to a real conversation, find out what their needs are, show them that you care, and then give them the answer that they're looking for and reassure them that you have the answer. To me, that's what sales is about. But that's why I feel like I'm good at it is I feel like I don't want to talk someone into something. I don't want to push a product. I want to be friends with people and I love talking to people. I mean, if it's not obvious from this podcast, I'm a talker. I enjoy talking to people. And if it's just relaxed and natural, it's so much fun. And so I love that you took that piece of your job that you didn't like and set an intention and changed it and turned it around. And look how wonderful that is. And now I'm going to take advice from you. And my intention tomorrow is going to be to lead with love. I love it. Well, Adria, I think that kind of leads us into our action item for this week because it is kind of jumping off of what you just said. This is going to be the very first action item that we're going to give our listeners that you can't do in one sitting. So we're going to step it up a notch. We are going to give you the push, I'll say. We're going to encourage you to set an intention every morning for 7 days. And listeners, there's no workbook. So this is starting tomorrow. Whatever day you're listening, starting tomorrow morning, you're going to set an intention. Make that commitment to yourself right now. And we've talked about this on other action items, but the best way to remember to do this is right now, grab your phone, set a reminder. You likely set an alarm in your phone. You can put it as the note on your alarm, or you can set a reminder that's 10 minutes after your alarm goes off, but it will come up as a reminder on your phone. So you don't even have to remember to set an intention. You'll look at your phone at some point, you'll get this reminder that will say, set an intention for the day. And you'll go, oh, that's right. I was going to do that. And then you'll stop and you'll think about it for a minute. What would I like to be the outcome from today? And maybe it's the beginning of the year. A lot of people set New Year's resolutions, or you've got your theme word for the year. Maybe your intention is related to that. Maybe you're trying to eat healthy. Maybe you're trying to lose some weight. Maybe you're trying to convince yourself to go to the gym. You could set an intention based off of those goals or commitments that you've made to yourself. Or you could do something and just say, you know what? My intention is that today is a great day. My intention is that I'm going to be loving towards every person I come in contact with. My intention today is going to be that I am going to have a positive impact on every person I come across. My intention today is that I'm going to find some way that I can do a random act of kindness. Whatever your intention is, it's stating the outcome that you want. And Adria, I mentioned a little bit earlier about how I have an affirmation on my cup holder at work. So let's just briefly talk about the difference between an affirmation and intention. What do you think when you hear of an affirmation? What do you think of?
An affirmation is almost me trying to convince myself of something. I mean, I say something positive in the hopes that saying it will help me to believe it. And
I like the honesty in the hopes. No, it's just so brutally honest. I say it hoping I'll believe it.
Well, I mean, it generally does work out that way. I am more inclined to believe it once I've said it. But an intention to me means that I'm part of the momentum in that happening.
I like that. I like that distinction. So there is a difference between intention and affirmations. Affirmations are usually used, like you said, to change limiting beliefs. They are intended to be used in repetition because the more you say something, the more your mind believes it.
Okay.
So like our sister Marcy last week when we got together. I think she was saying, if you say that you weigh your goal weight every morning, eventually
That's
you will.
right. I forgot about that.
So I've been honestly for the last week, every day I look in the mirror and I say, I weigh X amount of pounds. We'll see how long it takes.
Nice.
But that's an affirmation. And like you said, I don't currently believe it. I don't weigh that weight right now. So I don't believe it, but I am saying it to myself every morning. That's an affirmation. But an intention is not saying to myself, I weigh X amount of pounds, because an intention is an outcome that you want, like almost instantly. So when I say instantly, it's by the end of the meeting, by the end of the phone call, by the end of the day, by the end of whatever you're going into. It could be that you're going to the gym and you set the intention that you're going to stay on the treadmill for 45 minutes, or I'm going to do the Stairmaster for 10 minutes. And I'm saying 10 because that's huge for me. Stairmaster.
Stairmaster is killer.
So 10 minutes is a big deal, right? But those are intentions, you're going to struggle with it. So you're like, you know what? Before I even start, I'm making the decision right now that this is the outcome that I want. And it's using the universe by commanding the way that we talk about with expecting. When we say expect, don't plead, it's not asking for something, it's stating something as if it already is, as if it is already occurring or has happened instead of it's going to happen. And that's the difference between an intention and an affirmation. Both are powerful tools with the law of attraction. And at some point, we may have a conversation about affirmations. I think people are pretty aware of what affirmations are. But like us, when you first hear about intention, it's kind of like, what does that mean and how do I use it? So hopefully now, at the end of this episode, listeners will have a better understanding of what it means, and they will be able to implement our action item and set an intention for the next 7 days. And once you're done with 7 days, just keep going. Maybe set a reoccurring forever reminder in your phone. That would be awesome. And we would love to hear your results.
It would.
So I do want to tell our listeners. Go ahead.
I just had a thought as we were talking. One nice thing I think about setting an intention is when the end of the day comes, you can look back and see, yeah, I accomplished the thing that I set out to do this morning. So it's almost like a validating cycle. When you state that you're going to have a good day and then you have a good day, you're recognizing the power that you have. So that'll make me want to do it the next day.
Yeah. I also think when you choose a theme word for the year, in a sense, that's choosing an intention also. Because when you set an intention for something and then things start to get off track, it helps you remember, no, just like I was saying about having a stressful day, if you say that it's going to be a stress-free day and it starts to feel stressful, if you just remember, oh no, it's not stressful, I'm fine, I'm not having a stressful day, it helps you shift your thinking and get back on track. And that's the same kind of idea with your theme word for the year. If things start to feel off track, it helps you get back on track because you've kind of set the intention. No, this is what my year is going to look like. So that's how it's going to end up. So I really like that too. So what I was going to say to our listeners is that this is episode 12 and we're still new, we're learning, and we are doing everything that we can to try and improve the podcast. We do want to hear from you, our listeners. Feel free to email us. Feel free to comment or leave reviews. We would love to hear from you. We would love to add things to the website on your behalf or that would help you. But also know that we're working on our audio. We do have professional mics, but we know that sometimes the audio isn't completely clear. So we will continue to strive to improve for you guys. So let us know if you have any feedback and understand that with more practice, everything will get better. That's my intention.
Love it.
So, Adria, since it's episode 12, I just want to remind our listeners that have not listened to the first 10 episodes. The episodes 1 through 10 are our Jumpstart module. So if you haven't listened to those, you'll want to go back and download all 10 episodes. Every episode, we have an action item at the end. Those 10 episodes go together. They are powerful, key things that you can implement today to start getting the law of attraction to work for you. And we do have a free workbook that goes along with those 10 episodes on our website, www.attractitwithease.com. And you can download that workbook from our website. And so listen to those episodes, download them. Understand, guys, that you can stream and we appreciate you listening, but downloads help us grow the same way that reviews do. So if you'll help us out and download the episodes, leave us reviews, we would love to hear from you guys. So, Adria, do you want to remind our listeners of our giveaway one more time?
Yes, every week this year, we're going to draw one name from the people that have submitted a review. And that person will win a custom bracelet with their theme word of the year.
And if you don't know what we're talking about with a theme word, go back and listen to episode 1. Episode 1 is all about your theme word. Anyway, that's it for this week on And Attract It with Ease. Adria, it's been great chatting with you, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.